Hey, what's up guys, it's DarkArmedDuelist, and today we're going to be doing some Addignister test hands, and finally, it has arrived. We got the Addignister Cyverse, the Arrival, the first Link 6 monster in the entire game of Yu-Gi-Oh!, which is an amazing monster that is gets so big on the field, it's crazy. This card is absolutely insane, and I'm really excited to show you guys how to actually summon this card in the deck. And plus, the main deck got a little bit of a boost in Ignition Assault, or it actually came out in Ignition Assault, but it got some boosts in Eternity Code with the newest cards that came out in the entire set, with the Addignister, the Arrival, coming out as well. So, without further ado, guys, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell next to become part of the notification squad, and definitely check out the Patreon down in the description, because we have some awesome rewards for you guys, like getting a signed card sent to you in the mail, getting your name in the description of every single video, which we have some patrons down there. You should go down there and check out. And we also have where you can request a deck profile every single month that you are a patron. So, without further ado, let's get straight on into this. So this is a really interesting combo-based deck that can summon out some really crazy monsters like Firewall Dark Fluid, which is actually on the mat up there, and we actually have the Ignition Assault, which is Light Dragon Addignister, which is a really interesting monster to summon. So this deck does every single summoning mechanic in the entire game, kind of like DDDs, where it can summon Ritual, Synchro, Fusion, XYZ. The only thing it doesn't do is Pendulums, but it mainly does Link monsters, which is cool, with the alternate forms of Decode Talker, which ties into the story mode, or the story mode, but story of what's it called, the Yu-Gi-Oh! Vrains, which is really, really cool. So let's go ahead and do our first draw test hand and just see what we can get. But really quickly, I will show you guys the two big boss monsters that we're going to be trying to summon as quickly as possible, which is going to be our Dark Fluid and our Firewall Dark Fluid, and the Arrival Cyverse Addignister, which are the main two boss monsters that you want to summon. So let's go ahead and do a draw test hand. So we got Doshi, which is not bad. Parallel XZs, which is a free special summon of two monsters, essentially. Gonna chunk that Signet Mining. The Signet Mining is gonna come in super handy because you're gonna be able to get any one card you want. The A-Idol Reborn is going to come out in handy as well, because it's basically like a free special summon. And the Call by the Grave is just going to make it so we can make sure we get our hands flowing. So this hand's not bad at all. I am going to go ahead and draw, because usually we want to go second in this deck, and we do have a negation, so we could play through something. So then we're going to get another Doshi, which you could normal summon that Doshi, link it away for the Karibo, and then you could also get the copy of Signet Mining to search your copy of Pakari, or the Fire one from your deck to your hand, which is named a Chi-Chi. I couldn't remember a Chi-Chi's name, but you can get a Chi-Chi from your deck with this hand as well to be able to get the AI land, which can help out a lot. And then you have a lot of plays rolling with this deck. I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy how many different ways, like, you might look at this hand and see a different route to go with this deck, because there's so many. This deck has as many routes as trees have roots. This deck has so many different ways that you can actually go through plays. It actually reminds me of the way that, if you guys have ever seen the end of Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds, where Yusei, I almost said Jaden, but Yusei is actually thinking about different plays that he can use to beat Zone. And he goes through this thing, and it's like got these lines through his brain where it's like a card and then a card and then a card, and it's showing the line of combo that he's having to do. And that's what I kind of feel like when I do these test hands, is I'm trying to do that every single time to get this. So let's go ahead and do our second test hand and see what we can draw. We're going to get Signet Mining is always good. AI Reborn, the Doshi, and the Hyari is really good too, because it's going to tie into our Ritual monsters and the Addignister land. This is going to help out. The Ignister AI land is going to come in super handy. If we did go second, we get that Signet Ritual, which is alright. It wouldn't come in super handy, but it would help. With this hand, you have a lot of potential that you can use the Signet Mining to get a monster from the deck. You have the Addignister land that's going to constantly be able to special summon stuff. And then you have the copy of Reborn, which is going to get you something from the graveyard. Or you could just send the Reborn to the graveyard for the Signet Mining to get something like a Chi-Chi to be able to go into more plays. So let's go ahead and do our next test hand and see what we can get into. Also, Splash Magician is a crazy good card in here for Access Code Talker, because getting those extra pops on your side of the field is bonkers. So let's go ahead and get that last test hand to show you guys, and then we'll go straight into doing a play test hand. So we're going to get the Paladin of Storm Dragon. That's an optional card. You don't have to play in here if you don't want to. I like it in here because it can help out. the Signet Mining and the Dark Ruler No More. I main deck Dark Ruler No More in here because it helps out a lot. We got both of our Ritual Monsters. That's not great, but the Signet Mining can save it. And then the Bururu. This is not bad at all. It's not the greatest hand because you're going to have to get rid of one of your monsters, but Signet Mining is going to help us out a lot to get rid of the Paladin of Storm Dragon, and you can get into a lot of different plays with this hand. But again, if you're going second, which we would because we do have that Dark Ruler No More, the Doyun is going to help out a lot because getting... you have a lot of plays in here. You could just go for the Signet Mining, get Bakari, search the Adignister land, link away that, go into Link Rebo, use the Adignister land, special summon out Bururu effect, send to graveyard, and then you just keep going from there. And it just snowballs with this deck. And with the Dark Ruler No More, you're not having to deal with your opponent's entire field, so you can kind of OTK your opponent and go in for the Arrival or your Dark Fluid. So... let's go ahead and do our first play out test hand. So I am going to go second because we do play Dark Ruler No More, so you can shut down an entire field. Like, it's not even that big of a deal to go second and say, okay, my opponent has all this big field. Well, okay, fine. I play Dark Ruler No More and Call by the Grave. I can stop that. It's fine. Let's go ahead and see what we can draw and see what we can do against this with this deck. This deck is really good, so let's see what we can do. So we're going to go ahead and see what we can draw out of the deck, and let's go ahead and do our first test hand. So for our first test hand, we're going to get that Reborn, Doshin, Hayari, the Ritual spell, and a copy of Adignister Land for our first turn, or first hand. I'm going to go ahead and say I'm going second because it helps out to go second in this deck anyways. And this deck can play through negations. Like, it doesn't care. Like, this, I have a special summon here. If this gets negated, I can special summon, then link into Splash Magician, bring one of them back, and go from there. I mean, it doesn't matter. I can play through it. So, let's go ahead and do this. We're going to go ahead and activate the AI land, which if you guys are not familiar with AI land, it's always good to have the AI land because it's how you play through a lot of negations. If you control no monsters in your main monster zone, you can special summon level 4 lower Adignister monster from your hand. But for the rest of the turn, you cannot special summon monsters with the same attribute as the original monster using by the effect of Adignister land. So I can special summon Wind, Water, Fire, Earth, Light, and Dark off of this once each. And also you cannot special summon monsters except for Cyverse monsters, which everything we play is Cyverse anyway, so that doesn't matter. And then if this card's in your graveyard, you can banish an Adignister monster and set this card to your field. So it's always reoccurring once you get it the first time. So, we're going to go ahead and activate that Adignister land because, I just call it Adignister land, even though it's AI land, but whatever. And we're going to go ahead and normal summon out our copy of Bururu. Bururu effect is going to send to the graveyard a copy of one of our Adignister monsters. Usually I would send one that I want to bring back, so I would probably send to the graveyard, since I already have, well, I probably would send to the graveyard a Chi-Chi. Because I don't want to, the Bakari, I've already got set up with the Bakari, so I don't need the Bakari. I'm just going to send a copy of a Chi-Chi, because a Chi-Chi is going to give me a search for a monster. So at this point, I would go ahead and link summon into my copy of the Link Rebo. The Link Rebo is going to help out a lot because it's just going to keep monsters off your field, which is going to be the big thing that you're going to be trying to do with this deck. So then you could activate your copy of this card's normal special summon. You can target adding this in your graveyard and back to your hand. Let's go ahead and go for the copy of... See, there's so many routes to go here. I got to think about it. Let's go ahead and go for the Doshin. Off the effect of the Adignister land. So we've used Dark, so we're going to use the Doshin, and Doshin lets us add one of our Adignister monsters back from our graveyard to our hand. And then we could do AI Reborn and bring back the a Chi-Chi, and a Chi-Chi's effect is going to trigger, and we're going to get to search from our deck a monster that is an Adignister monster, which at this point you have a bunch of different routes that you could go. You could grab your copy of Water Leviathan, or you could do what I would do and grab Doshin from the deck, because Doshin can special summon itself. Doshin. I would summon Doshin and grab this one, the Earth one, because it can special summon itself. Now, you have another route that you could go. Let's go ahead and link summon these three together and immediately special summon out Dark Templar. because Dark Templar is the big enabler that you're going to be trying to go for every single game with this deck. This card is insanely good because Dark Templar basically gets us free pluses, which is really good. Also, the effect of, let's see, if this card is sent to the graveyard as material for a link summon of Cyber's monster, you can target an AR spell in your graveyard and add it back to your hand, which we did use the Reborn, so we're going to add that Reborn back to our hand. Now, you have some really good plays here. You could special summon out your Doshin or your Hyari. It depends on which one you want to special summon. It doesn't really matter. I would special summon the Hyari, and the Hyari is going to trigger the Dark Templar effect, which Dark Templar's effect, if you guys don't know what this card does, it is an insane card that I'm going to zoom in for you guys really quickly. And what it does is if a monster is special summoned to a zone this card points to, except even during the damage step, then you can special summon as many level 4 or lower Adagnister monsters in your graveyard as possible to arrows this card points to. So basically you get 2 free special summons, which is the big thing about this card. So we're going to get those 2 free special summons, which is our copy of the Achichi and a copy of Doshin. So now we have some really good plays going. Okay, so let's go ahead and link these 2 away and summon our copy of Splash Magician. Splash Magician's effect is that you can target Cyberse on your graveyard and special summon it, but negate its effects. So we're going to special summon out our copy of Achichi. Now, we could special summon out our copy of Doshin now, if you wanted to, which would help out the field a little bit, but I'm going to hold it because we always can special summon it out. It's not that big of a deal. Now, I would probably activate the Hyari's effect, which the Hyari's effect is, if you control an Adagnister monster, you can special summon this card from your hand, attribute a Cyberse monster, add a level 5 or higher Adagnister monster from your deck to your hand, and if you can add a AI Ritual, if you tribute a Link monster. So I'm not going to tribute a Link monster, I'm just going to tribute the copy of Achichi on my side of the field and add that level 5 or higher, which is going to be Water Leviathan, which is great because it was right on the bottom of the deck. Now, at this point, you could go for a Link play or you could go for an XYZ play. You actually have the Arrival just with this field. I mean, just with this field, you can summon the Arrival. But we're going to keep going. We're going to use the effect of our Doshin, and we're going to special summon it to our side of the field. Now, keep in mind that if you control an Adagnister monster, and if you do, this card's level becomes 4. So this card's level is now 4, which is going to help out the field a lot. Also, the Doshin, I probably would special summon it down here out of the zone because I want to keep the zones live. And then you could ritual summon if you want to ritual summon into your copy of Water Leviathan. Now, keep in mind, you only have level 6 in the graveyard because you can banish for the effect. So I'm going to keep that open for a second, so I can link summon with another play. Now, we've only used Dark, but we do have monsters in the main monster zone, so we can't special summon any more using the Adagnister land, so that's something to keep in mind about that. It's not that big of a deal, but we do have plays where we can go into Access Code Talker. If you want to go into Access Code Talker, the Arrival, or Firewall. So let's go ahead and go for our copy of the Arrival, because it's really easy to go into, and it's just ridiculously easy to go into. But let's go ahead and do one quick play. Doshin's effect is going to use the copy of Linkuriboh and put it back in the extra deck, and then I get to add a copy of my AI Love Fusion from my deck to my hand just to kind of thin the deck and get that into my hand to help plays go off. So now we have this really good board, right? Okay, so no arguing that. Let's go ahead and use the effect of our... Let's go ahead and do it this way. Let's not special summon that Doshin. Keep this in the graveyard. Don't special summon Doshin. I'm going to show you guys this play really quick. Link summon these 3 together. Okay. And we're going to special summon out our Arrival with this field. If you special summon the Arrival with this field, you have nothing on the field. We never summon that Doshin. Now summon the Doshin. This is at 5, so it's at 5,000 attack points. Now you can special summon the effect with Baruru. You can special summon that card and off of the Adagnister land, and then special summon the Doshin effect, and then do this where you put back the Splash Magician instead, and then search the copy of AI Love Fusion. So that's going to be a little bit different if you guys caught that. All we did with that hand is we just didn't special summon the Doshin when we did. So now you can do AI Love Ritual, and then banish these 3 from the graveyard, which equals 7, and then special summon out our copy of Water Leviathan, which is going to be on the field. And then you have another route that you can go where you can even go for a copy of your... can this become level 4? No, that doesn't become level 4. It's the Hayari that becomes level 4. I had to make sure. So there's so many cards in this deck, like you got to check sometimes. At this point, you could link summon as well. If you wanted to link summon into your copy of Cyber's Wit Kid, this card can be ritual summon, or this card special summon to zone while you... Okay, that one's not going to help out that much. You can only splash Magician once per turn. Yeah, I probably would just go with this field, and just pass with this. Because you could also link summon into a copy using this, but the arrival is mainly what you're looking for to get on the field, and this is going to help out a lot too, because when it battles, you return, or when it's summoned, you shuffle everything back. Like you could OTK your opponent potentially with just this field right here, and if you needed the extra damage, you could link summon into your copy of Splash Magician again and put it back on the field if you needed to. Now we've already resolved this, and this is a once per turn. So you could use it again next turn, but that field right there is totally fine. Just to leave it on that. So that's it for our first test hand. Let's go into our next test hand and see what we can get. So that was not bad at all. Let's go ahead and do test hand number 2 and see what we can do. So basically that's the way you play Adignisters. Like there's so many different routes that you kind of sometimes have to stop and think about it, of what you're doing and how you're going to accomplish what you're doing when you actually play around with the deck. So we're going to go, I guess we went second last time. Let's go first this time and see what we can actually do going first and see what board you can establish. Because usually when you're going second, you want to do that Arrival. And Arrival could have given us a token where we could have link summoned again if we wanted to. But I really wasn't worried about it. We had a pretty good field to OTK as it was, but you could have link summoned again if you wanted to. If you would have popped a card on your opponent's side of the field, put this here, and then link summon the Baru and the Doshin together with the token, and then summoned your copy of the Fire Adignister, would have been another route that you could have gone. But let's go ahead and do test hand number 2. So we're going to add AI Love Fusion, AI Reborn, Dark Ruler No More. See, that's why I don't mind going second. The Adignister Land and Parallel Xyz. Okay, this is why I like going second. If we go second, we get the Picari. If we didn't, we kind of bricked right there. So we're going to go second again and just go ahead and drop the Dark Ruler No More. We don't care. We're going to drop Dark Ruler No More and not have to deal with our opponent. So now you can do some really interesting stuff. Let's save our normal summon, activate that Adignister Land, use the Adignister Land to special summon Picari. Picari effect is going to trigger searching a Adignister card from our deck to our hand, which is going to be an Adignister spell or trap directly from our deck to our hand, which could be the AI Ritual. Or we already got the Reborn, so we don't need the Reborn. We got the land, we don't need the land. I would probably just grab the Ritual spell, because then you don't have to tribute a Link monster to use the other effects. So now link away the Picari, special summon out our copy of Linkribo, and then you can use the effect of Parallel Xyz in your hand, that if this card is special summoned, if you link summon, you can special summon this card to a link zone this card points to, and if you don't want to special summon this card, you can special summon another Parallel Xyz from your deck. So we're going to go Parallel Xyz, and then Parallel Xyz is going to summon out another Parallel Xyz, and both of them are level 4 now. So that's something to keep in mind about this field, is they're both level 4. You can also now, since you have them on the field, you could link summon for a copy of Splash Magician, which is going to get you monsters out on the field. I love playing the Splash Magician. I don't know if you guys can tell. Or you can go for a copy of your Cyberse Wit Kid, because you can have more link plays. This card's link summon. If this card is special summoned to a zone this card points to while it's on the field, then you manage Cyberse from your graveyard, add Cyberse to your deck. Yeah, I'd probably go for the Wit Kid. Wit Kid's going to help out a lot more because it's going to get us a search, and then you can go for Splash Magician later. So we're going to go ahead and get these two off the field and summon the copy of Wit Kid. Wit Kid is going to activate when you special summon to its zone, which we're going to activate the AI Reborn, special summon the Picari to our side of the field to a zone it points to, and then you're going to get to search that tuner, which we haven't normal summoned because we got that copy of Adignister Land. And you normal summon out the copy of Baruru. Baruru's effect is going to trigger sending from deck to graveyard any of our monsters that we need, which we don't really need all that much. So I probably would send from the deck to the graveyard, probably the sword. I probably would send the sword to the graveyard if I can find it. The sword is probably the card I would get rid of. Yeah. That's going to help out a little bit to be able to get it off the field. Let's see what else we can do. We have Dark Ruler No More, so that's something to keep in mind. You could, if you wanted to, you could synchro summon at this point. If you wanted to go with these two and synchro summon. You also have a rank 4 play where you have these two where you could go for a rank 4. You could go for a copy of the ritual monster that if this card is special summon to a zone this card points to, then you can manage to spell a trap in your graveyard to add a Cyberse ritual. So you have a lot of different plays. It's not the greatest hand, to be honest, to go off with, but you even have Access Code Talker. Like, you go Access Code Talker, but let's go ahead and go a different route too. Go ahead and link these two away, and then get your copy of Splash Magician. Splash Magician is going to get us a little bit more advantage on our side of the field because you're trying to get more monsters in the graveyard to help you OTK with Access Code Talker, because that's what I'm going to mainly go for this turn. The Bakari is going to go on the field because we did Dark Ruler no more, so our opponent's stuff is getting negated, so you want to try and get that copy of Access Code Talker out on the field as quickly as possible to be able to pop the cards on your opponent's side of the field. So we've got one attribute in the graveyard with the Splash Magician, so that's 2 different attributes in the graveyard. Now you could synchro summon or link summon in this particular scenario. You do have the way that you can link summon into your copy of your into your Dark Fluid if you want to go for Dark Fluid. Dark Fluid's only going to have 1 different type on it, so it's not going to be too terribly great, but it's not bad. I probably would go for Access Code Talker in this scenario. Because you can just summon the Access Code Talker off of these 3, and it would get him out on the field and be able to pop stuff, and then you can banish one of your other monsters in the graveyard. So Access Code Talker, banish your copy of Wit Kid because you have the other monster in your graveyard, and then immediately pop 2 cards on your opponent's side of the field, and then swing at your opponent for 43. Is how I would probably go with this, and leave the Parallel Xyz on the field. So if we go into our next turn, we're going to draw into that Paladin of Storm Dragon, which is not that big of a deal. If you're going to use, you must tribute adding extra monsters from your hand or field. If you're going to summon, okay, so we could go like this if we wanted to. If we had the Parallel Xyz still on the field, you could also use the Parallel Xyz and go for the Paladin of Storm Dragon if you want to go that route. Summon this card. You could tribute this card, and then special summon a level 5 or higher Cyberse monster from your hand or deck with this card as well. And then we still have the Access Code Talker, which is going to come in super handy to keep it on the field. But if you're going to summon something that's level 5 or higher, I would probably summon the Shield. Yeah, because it's going to protect our copy of the Access Code Talker. So that's pretty much as far as you could take this hand. See, sometimes you'll get routes and you'll just get backed into a corner where you can't go as far. But there's other hands like that last hand where you can get the Arrival out and other plays out, which is going to be super helpful. But it's a really fun deck to play around with, and I highly recommend that you guys give it a try. I'll try and do some live duels with this once I can go back to locals and actually show you guys the way this deck plays and interacts against other players, which is really interesting to be able to do. So that's it for the test hands, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. It's really a fun deck to play around with, but basically what you're trying to do is just put a bunch of monsters on board to go into the Arrival, or if you're going first, you want to put this on the field, or if you can OTK, you want to summon this. If you're going second, you want to summon this, or, I mean, if you're going first, you want to put this on the field just to defend yourself with all the counters. If you're going first, you want to put this on the field, or going second, you want to put this on the field and OTK your opponent. Either one of these can go first or go second. It just depends on which route you need to go. So that's it for the deck, guys. I hope you did enjoy those test hands. It's a lot of fun to play around with this deck. It's really, really a good deck to play around with and definitely test out all the different mechanics that it can do. But anyways, guys, this is DarkArmedDuelist. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell on there so you can come part of our notification squad, and definitely tell me what you think of this test hand down in the comments down below, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Don't forget to check out the Patreon. See you later, guys.